Hey everybody, welcome back. If you are new, my name is Dave. I own a 2004 C5 Corvette, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about a little issue that I had over the weekend with Brian Tooley's spring kit. Now, before I really get into the video, I'm not bashing them. I'm not saying the product is bad. They actually did send me a new spring kit out, which resolved the issue. So at least they stood behind the product and they sent me, new valve springs, and they just made it right. But on the flip side of that, I just wanted to make a video just showing you what my issue was. And it wasn't just my issue. If it weren't for Greg, who was there to help me and Scott put the cam in and everything, he wouldn't have pointed out the issue with the springs. And that's only because he had the same issue. And I did reach out to BTR once we found the issue, and Craig over there did say that the spring and the retainer fitment that we were getting was not correct and to not run the car the way it was. Now, the only problem with that is I was at CSP, Alex was pulling the car around to get on the dyno, and this is when Craig says, no, don't run those springs. Could cause catastrophic failure. So the unfortunate thing is, I was at CSP for the tune. I couldn't get a proper tune. Andrew gave me a base tune that at least got me going so that I wouldn't stall. And we got it back to Scott's, replaced the springs, and I drove home the next day. Of course, now I have to go back and get a proper tune from CSP, and that's going to cost me another $250 as well as another vacation day. So the spring issue caused me 2 vacation days and another $250 for the retune. But like I said, at least they sent me a new spring kit the very next day so that I could get home. Now this is the original BTR spring kit. Now as you can see, some of the retainers stayed stuck onto the inner spring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total stayed on. So that means 9 of them weren't properly seated with the inner spring. I'm going to show you that in a second as to what I mean. One thing I noticed between the original springs that I got and the new springs, obviously I can't show you the new springs because they're in the car, but this inner spring, it like floats in there like nice and loose. The newer springs were a lot tighter, which I think is part of the reason why these retainers didn't fit this inner spring. So let me show you exactly the issue that we had here. This outer ridge sits flat on the top of the retainer, right? And then this little first lip is what holds the outer ring on the retainer. And then this next inner ring here is what holds the inner spring onto the retainer so that you don't have much wobble back and forth and the springs stay pretty much going straight up and down. So the issue was that when you take the inner spring and you put the retainer on here, that's the issue that you get. The retainer doesn't fit flush with the inner spring. Now you can push on this all you want. With the new springs, when you put this on, all you had to do was like compress it like that, and it snapped into place. There wasn't much of this. The only way we got this retainer to fit this spring is to put this in a vise and really press down on this spring to make that snap in. And that's, again, that's a no-no. That shouldn't be the case. Again, this should just be like almost like finger to just snap that in place. But you see, it just wobbles back and forth. The inner diameter of the spring was too small for the retainer. The new retainers and even these older retainers fit the new springs, but the new retainers and obviously the old retainers did not fit the old springs. So the issue, I believe, is more with the inner spring diameter just being too tight. And I think that's just goes to show that it's just the overall diameter of the spring. And again, and that's why this is just so loose in there. And one thing I noticed on this one retainer in particular, if we can get this to focus, that little metal shaving there was up on this lip. And you can, it might be hard to see here. See if I can get that to focus a little bit better. There you go. You see the shiny metal there. That's where that little piece of metal filing came from, and it came from that inner spring just being too tight on there and causing that little metal shaving to pop off. Alright, so like I said, the purpose of this video was not to bash Brian Tooley Racing. I'm sure all these different companies get the springs from the same place. It just so happened that maybe this was a bad batch. I don't know. All I know is that they made it right. They sent me the right springs, but I just wanted to let you know the issue that I had. I share everything that I experienced with my car here on the channel for everybody else. Maybe this is informative to you. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're just going to say, Dave, you're a hack. You don't know what you're talking about. But when I showed Andrew at CSP the picture, and I talked to Craig over at BTR. They both said, this isn't right. Don't run those springs. We'll send you out a new spring kit. So before your car is about to go on the dyno and you're wondering about your springs being correct, make sure you check the fitment with the retainer way ahead of time. And this way, if you need to get a new set, you can get a new set before you even start putting the valve springs into your car. So hopefully this video helped you. And if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.